Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the LittleWins Podcast. This is season 3 of, I think, appropriately titled WTF for Wow, That's Fantastic. This is episode 7, and I'm beside myself that I get to sit down and chat today with a really fantastic human with a really fantastic story. Welcome to the show, Mac McGinnis, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Lex. I appreciate it. And, I just got to say, I'm really thankful for the opportunity to even be on this. I was asked to do this by one of my good buddies that you work with. And after reading about you and reading about your story and everything, there was no way I could say no. So I've been thinking about it all day, and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Me too. I've been thinking about it all day too. Like, I'm nervous because I can't believe that you are that excited, because your story is just like mind-blowing and so important to share. And I am forever grateful for every single person who sits down to share their personal life story. And it's usually in conjunction with their professional life or whatever. And I've found that in my life, hearing from other people just genuinely share has been probably one of the most important things that I can possibly bring to the table. So anybody who wants to sit with me and chit chat, I'm eternally grateful. But yours, when our mutual friend, my assistant, Sean, when he told me about your story, I was like, I stopped cold. I'm pretty sure I dropped something. I was like, wait, what? What? Remarkable, magical, miraculous, and so important. So without any further ado, and I want the audience to know that I purposefully did not want to know the full story so that I could be here hearing it for the first time with everybody else.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to share it. It's like you said, it's a story of like inspiration, and it's one of those, it was like kind of one of those things where it didn't really take me long to kind of realize that I needed to tell this story. Just because the first couple of times I told it, like the reactions I got from it, people were like, what are you like, why would you keep this to yourself? Like, this is so amazing. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And it just helped me, overcome the mental challenges that I had to go through and everything like that too, which we'll get to. But sharing this story is like one of my favorite things to do. I'm sure my family and my friends are sick and tired of hearing of it. Every time I'm at a bar, I usually end up telling it to somebody. Just thank you for bearing with me through it.
Oh, no, I'm actually going to beg you to don't spare me any details, because
absolutely.
It's the first time I'm hearing it. So don't spare us details. Pretend we're at the bar.
Sure.
And I think that what you just said, I completely relate to it. It's sometimes so strange when it's you that it happened to, that you don't realize what it sounds like or what it was your life experience. So you're like, okay, yeah, that was really weird. That was terrible or whatever. But you don't know how it can save another person's life or how it can help another person. And that is absolutely valid. So let's do it.
Perfect. So yeah, I guess we'll start from the beginning. I mean, it was 2017. I had just graduated from college. I was living in Chicago, and I absolutely hated my job. Chicago's where I'm from. And so funny enough, I was dating this girl in college, my freshman and sophomore year, and met her dad, and her dad is like pretty much like a second father to me. He still is to this day. He's actually still my boss. I worked for him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. But we broke up. She broke up with me our sophomore year, rightfully so, because I was 19. I was an idiot. But her dad liked me, respected me enough to where he was like, hey, if you ever want a job, doesn't matter if what happens between you and my daughter, like, just give me a shout. And so after I graduated college, I hated my job, and I ended up calling him one day and I was like, hey, can I still take you up on that job offer? And he was like, yeah, I can get you an interview, but you're going to have to come out to San Francisco on your own dime, put up with your own lodging. He's like, I'm not going to get you the job. He's like, but I'll get you the interview at least. And I was like, okay, well,
that's
that's
amazing.
yeah. So
Okay,
that
I
was,
love this guy. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
that's
an
good stuff.
amazing. The whole family, I mean, just so amazing. And I'll talk a little bit more about him later because he's part of the story as well. But so I ended up moving out to San Francisco for my second job, and I was working down in San Jose, like the Silicon Valley, like doing working for an IT startup. But it was about to, like, I think it was like December of 2017, where me and my friends, we all wanted to go to this music festival called Snow Globe in Lake Tahoe, which is like an outdoor like music festival where you could like ski into it, and like I think like Diplo was performing or something.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
I
3 day
want to go.
yeah, it's like a 3 day thing. So we were super excited about it, and we knew that it was going to be freezing. So I ordered a full Evel Knievel onesie ski suit. That was
Hey,
absolutely ridiculous.
Little Knievel.
Yeah. It was,
That's fantastic.
it looked so ridiculous. But so anyway, so we decided, like, I had friends that were flying in from Colorado, and I had a friend flying in from Missouri. And we've been skiing and snowboarding like pretty much our entire lives. So, we knew what we were doing. But when we got up there a day early to go like skiing, like that was like the main purpose of us like getting up there a day early. And as we were driving up, there was like a winter advisory where everything was like iced over. But then, and this was the night before we were going to go skiing. So we were going to get up at like 6 a.m, go skiing regardless. But on our way up there, at like the entire night, it was like a blizzard. Like it snowed like almost 2 feet. So the next morning,
And wait, what was the temperature? Because I'm a girl from Colorado. So if the temperature drops and it snowed like that, we're talking like major ice.
yeah, it was like, I mean, it was definitely below freezing. I was probably like around like in the 20s, honestly, probably. So long ago, I don't exactly remember the exact temperature, but
Well, and you suffered some major injuries after that. So yeah, I'm gonna hold you to all the information on the weather.
Yeah, so we were super excited, and it was Kirkwood was the mountain that we decided to go to. And we got up at like 5 a.m, put on all of our gear. I think like the lines like started and everything like that, but we were the first ones in line to get to the top of the mountain. And it was crazy because like it was one of those mountains where you like had to take a chairlift up, and then like you got to like the middle of it, and then you took another chairlift.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Higher. Yeah. So, and we were like, well, we want to go as high as possible. So we get up to the top, and like we've been skiing and snowboarding before. I'm on skis, my two buddies are on snowboards. And we look at like down the backside, and it's like a 70-degree drop, but it's like, stuff that we've done before, but it was still chained off. But we were like, it's so early in the morning, we're the first ones up here. Maybe they just didn't take the chains off. So
you're like, what, how old? 20 something? You're like
23.
Yeah, you're 23-year-old men. So you're like, yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah.
Move the chain. Move the chain.
Hell yeah. Yeah. No, I'm like, don't even move the chain. We're gonna go over it.
We're going over the chain. That's
So,
exactly right.
Yeah. So we did that, and we were going down, and I remember like just looking down and it just being like a straight drop. And I was like, I think like the last thing I said was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we're going down and everything's going fine. And then there's like this like drop off. It's kind of like a cliff. And so I jumped off that part, and that's where like there's like at the bottom of it, there's like a bunch of trees, and it was like so early in the morning that the sun didn't even come out from behind the mountain yet. So everything underneath the trees, even though like the powder was fresh, everything underneath the trees was still frozen ice.
Oh my God, my palms are sweating. Yeah.
So we go off this like jump, and I'm way ahead of my buddies, and I start going in and out of these trees, and I'm going like probably 40 to 50 miles an hour at the time. And as I'm going out of this tree, I just see like just straight ice. And I'm like, oh, this like there, I like tried to turn, nothing was happening, and my adrenaline was pumping. So I'm like, you know what? You can't go around it, go through it. And so there's nothing I can do. So I turned to my right side, and I ended up hitting this tree going 45, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets a little explicit. So if anyone gets a little queasy, I'm sorry. But what
hit me
happened
with the
was,
details. Tell me the truth. Tell me the whole
yeah,
thing.
so what happened was I hit the right side. I wasn't wearing a helmet, so I fractured my skull. I have a brachial plexus injury. So what happened was I stretched the nerves from my spinal cord, but I didn't tear them. And that I'll explain
That's
that
because
later.
23, but
Yeah.
also why you weren't wearing a helmet.
Yes, exactly. Always wear a helmet. Always wear a helmet. But so instantly my right arm was paralyzed, like could not move it whatsoever. My back was broken in 3 spots. I hit it so hard that I broke all my ribs. My ribs actually ended up going through my lungs. All my internal organs shifted over to the left side.
Wait, hold on. Why the left side?
Because I hit it on the right
On the
side.
right. So then they just move
Of
over.
course.
Is that
Yeah.
like wow? Okay,
Well, because I mean, my chest was so broke, like in so many pieces that like nothing was being able to be held in place. And I ended up also separating both my kidneys and my liver, like just completely detached. So I hit the tree, and I'm sitting there, like sitting up against the tree. My skis like fell off, and I don't know what happened, but I actually got up and I put my skis back on.
Get
And
out of here. Stop. I'm gonna
no,
stop you right there. Hold on. Let's just really quick recap. So we have ribs through all lungs, everything, no right arm, by all
Yep.
organs on left side.
Yep.
And then no liver or kidneys, or like that seems like small things at this point, and you're like
Yeah.
cognizant for one.
Yep.
And then you're gonna get up and I don't know if anyone has tried to put skis on without any of those injuries. Like I like to ski, but every single time I try to put them on, I'm like, I feel like I have no dexterity. I feel like I'm drunk. Like you can't, it's hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think they were close enough to where I was able to like hold on to a branch and like pull myself up with one arm. But then like I was like, I can't breathe. And then I looked down and my hand was like all covered in blood, and touched the back of my head and is bleeding. But I was like, I just remember I'm like, if I sit here, like I am going to die. Like there's like, this is it. Like this is game over. So I put my skis back on, and I made it like 50 yards out, like maybe. I made it out to like a clearing, and my buddies were behind me, and they saw me hit the tree, but like they didn't like know how fast I was going. They didn't see how bad it was, and they saw that I was still standing, so like they assumed like that I was okay. But then once I made it out to the clearing, I like remember I like turned around and I saw them coming, and I think like the last thought like that I had that I remember was like, okay, like your buddies are here, like it's okay, like you can die now. And then I just like fell over and like went unconscious. Thankfully, the second people that were on the ski lift behind us was ski patrol, and they knew that we were probably going to get ourselves into trouble, which we did, or at least I did. And so when my buddies came up to me, I was like barely breathing. Ski patrol finally gets up. They cut open my snowsuit, and my body's like 3 times the size it should be. Like, and they check my pulse, and they're like, he's dead. Like there's we like he's so broken, there's like nothing like we can do. But then at the same time, while all this is going on, somebody else is at the top where we jumped off, and they're like screaming out like, get out of the way, get out of the way, there's a boulder coming. And this is like Final Destination. This is a true story.
No, it is. This is like the most insane story. Wait, I just have to take a knee for a second because like, so were you unconscious it's a lot to take in because I'm also very visual. So I feel like I'm with you. I'm not in your body, but I'm like next to you. I understand what's going on here. Were you unconscious when ski patrol got there?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I wasn't even breathing at that point. Like I
Yeah.
was
No, they were like, he's
no
dead.
pulse. Yeah, like he's dead. So while all that's happening, that person, like there's a person up on the cliff and he's screaming down. He's like, rocks, like everyone get out of the way. And ski patrol was like, he's dead. Like he told my friends, he's like, you guys got to get out of the way because like we don't want anyone else to get hurt or anything like that. And my one friend was just like, no, like absolutely not. Like I'm not gonna let that happen because the rock was coming right for my head. And so he took his ski boot out of his snowboard and stomped it in front of my head. And the rock hit off of his ankle and like hurt his ankle pretty bad, but ended up clearing my entire body. And then like once the rock went over my body, I like took a big deep breath in, and I'm like, my name's Mac McGinnis, like I'm 23 years old, and ski patrol was like, what? Like,
Rigor mortis. No,
yeah,
but your friend, what's his name?
Jordan Strela.
Hey, Jordan, like brilliant in those moments to just be able to have that thought and then also throw your body in way of danger. And what made you breathe was love, right? Like that's
Yeah.
like a sucker punch of I love this story. Okay, I'll stop talking.
No, you're fine. So I mean, yeah, he actually lives here in Austin with me too now. So he's one of my closest and dearest friends. And then also shout out to Alex Klomenko. He was the other friend that was there that also, helped save my life as well. So I gotta give those guys a shout out. Yeah, so then after that, Ski Patrol was like, okay, well, there's nothing we can't take him down, so call a helicopter. And the closest the number one trauma facility in the United States is Renown Hospital in Reno, Nevada.
Okay.
And that's like right on the border of California and Nevada.
Yeah.
So it was like a 15-minute helicopter ride, and like I was like very touch and go, like
Pause. Sorry. I told you I warned you I would do this if it was
oh, you're
this
fine.
like crazy. But so why couldn't ski patrol, just because the damage to your body, they couldn't put you in a sled?
Yeah, and they're like, he has no time. Like if
Yeah.
we bring him to the bottom, like he's gonna die before we get to the bottom.
How do we get a helicopter in that moment? Who got the helicopter?
So funny enough, it's the same mountain that Sonny Bono died on. So it's like they're like used to this. Like they're like,
Don't say that. No.
what?
Don't say that. No. Don't get used to it, folks. Just stay on the ready.
Yeah. So these helicopters, like they're ready to go because like they do this like daily. Like this happens. I mean, not my particular situation, but people get hurt like on mountains all the time. In Tahoe at least. So they airlifted me to Reno, Nevada. Instantly put me in a medically induced coma. I was on morphine, fentanyl, Dilaudid just to keep me in the coma. And I was in the coma for a month and 34 days. So throughout this entire time, like my friends didn't know how bad it was. So, but they called my family and they're like, hey, Maxon was in an accident. He got airlifted out of there. But like, that's all we know. And the doctors wouldn't tell my family anything. So my poor family's trying to fly out right after Christmas because it was December 27th.
That's what I was going to ask you. What day was that? Okay, because I want to know, because you said a month and 37 days. Is that what you said?
Yeah, a month and I think it was like a month and 37 days or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, which month? A short one or a long one? Like,
yeah.
But it matters, but it's just like, I want to think about that. That's such a long time to be. And again, I am not a medical professional. I am not a doctor. I'm not really a professional at all. but I just like to know these details because every single day is a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely. And like there's a lot to be said about like everything that went into actually saving my life because my family, like they were trying their hardest to get on the fastest plane out of Chicago to fly into Reno, Nevada, which during a snowstorm is probably not easy. I would imagine.
Like 2 days after Christmas. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's like
yeah.
the
My
hardest
dad,
time. Yeah.
I think my dad got the phone call and he's like Mac and his effing Evil Knievel stunts or something like that. But they had no clue how bad it was.
Wait, see, back to the fact that you're wearing an Evil Knievel snowsuit while you like die and then wake up and say exactly who you are, your age and everything. This is like,
Yeah.
it's actually, I mean, because you're standing and because you're talking.
Yeah.
It's pretty rock and roll.
I
I don't want to take away from it at all, but like high level, just like cherry on top. This is one of the most insane stories I have ever heard. And I know that everybody has a story. I don't weigh them up against each other. Do you know what I mean? I don't say like, oh, that
no.
harder than this one. No, there are too many factors involved to ever, and I wouldn't. But it's unique is maybe what I'm trying to say. It's the most unique story I have ever heard in my life.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I like this, like to your point, like everyone's got their own battles. Like you don't know like what people have been through. And that's like why you always give someone the benefit of the doubt. Like you don't judge a book by its cover. Like you actually sit down, you have a conversation with them, and you know that like they're going through their own struggles. Like that, yeah, I might be the happiest person in the room. Doesn't mean I haven't gone through hell and back.
Doesn't mean my ribs didn't go through my lungs at some point in my life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Who else can say that?
But no, this is still just the tip of the iceberg. So when I get to the hospital, they put me in this medically induced coma, and they give me, when my family gets there, they tell them that I have a 1% chance to live, and if I live, I'll have a 5% chance of ever moving my arm again, and that they were going to do everything in their power to try and keep me alive. And this was so like during like the whole time that I was in my coma, like I flatlined 4 times. Like but there was like, my family has been there to this point, like every single, like no matter how, like through this entire time, like somebody from my family has been there with me consistently, like whether it was my father, my my sister, my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, there's always somebody by my side. So there's always somebody there, and I'll get to that in a second. But I started having like these crazy dreams, and I had like 4 very specific ones, and I didn't realize this until after.
4? You had 4 flat lines and 4 specific dreams?
Yeah, which funny enough.
No, it's not funny.
I know, but like
I'm kidding. But
I figured this out after, but each dream like coincided with like me dying. So like the first dream, like in every dream would start the same way. I would wake up, I would be on my back, and like I'd be like somewhere new. Like I think like the first time I remember there's like a train somewhere, and like my cousin Mike was like talking to me, and I remember him being in the dream. Turns out he was the one that was like sitting next to me at the time. Because you can hear people. Yeah.
Wait, okay, so this is a question. I knew so little about your story, but I knew that you were in a medical induced coma, and the fact that you're here and you can tell us what that's like. Oh my gosh. I have spoken to, I've visited loved ones, and I've been the one reading to them. My daughter was one of them. Reading and singing and talking, and you don't know if they can hear you, but you're going to do it, and it's all you can do, so you're going to do it for sure. But absolutely. The fact that you are confirming that for your life experience you could hear that,
yeah, absolutely.
Like boom.
So that's not like the only time that happened like 3 times. So like one dream would like it would happen, like my cousin like would be talking to me, and like my dream would be going on, and then like I'd flatline, and then like they'd be like, oh shit, like we gotta bring it back.
Well, that's a super shit. Yeah.
So they bring me back, and then I'd be all right for like a little bit, and then like somebody else, like my sister would come in, and then like I'd hear her, and like this is a totally new dream. And I don't remember like much about like the first three dreams, but I remember like who were in them. And like that was like me finding out after the fact, like after I could talk, because like I had like tracheotomy in. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's brutal. Yeah.
yeah. So but the crazy part is like so let me back up here. So towards the end of it, when they were like my family was in town, and they basically were like, we're out of options here. Like we have one other option, and there was this doctor from Stanford that his son went through some sort of like similar accident, not like a skiing accident, but where his lungs like were so messed up that he created an artificial lung that was portable. So the one option was to fly on like charter a private plane, bring this doctor in, and he's going to bring this machine, and they're going to put me on a portable lung. But there was a snowstorm that night, and they couldn't charter the flight. So the one nurse that like kept on like bringing me back to life, I think she shocked me like 27 times.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, I am going to bring you back. So we have 4 flat lines. We have 4 dreams. And then you, in 2 of them that I know of so far, you were waking up on your back, which is curious because of lungs. Only
Yeah.
of like other people's stories that I've heard. That's not that's, is that a part of your story? Like,
Well, I'm
think
sorry.
about laying on your back because of your lungs. Like
Oh,
that's why when you said that, I wrote it down. And that's what I'm doing when I do this. By the way, I have to write things down so that I don't interrupt you. So Mike was there, your sister was there. These are like ghosts of Christmas, present, past, and future, you know?
kind of,
It's
yeah.
giving me
Yeah.
a vibe of like, it's fantastic. Okay, so Mike, your sister, and who?
And then I think it was my Aunt Carol was the last one. I think, I'm not positive on that one. That one's a little fuzzy. But the fourth one that I had, so this is like the last day. This is like,
Yeah,
we're
it's
on,
we can't
yeah,
get you a fake loan. We're not going to charter you
we're like,
to
we're out of options here. So my family, like, they knew this. They're like, they told them that I'm not going to make it through the day. So my family's like there. But this nurse, B, she goes by B, just an amazing person, like stuck with my family throughout the entire thing. Like, she actually found this so she was a traveling nurse, and she had seen something like this before, where, like the patient's lungs were collapsed, and I was essentially drowning from the inside out. And they thought like it was going to be over, so they actually like called up a priest, like, because I was born Irish Catholic, and the priest read me my last rites over the phone. And the 4 main doctors that were like operating on me were like, we're out of options, there's nothing we could do. But the nurse was like, I've seen this before, like there's something we can do. So she
that
goes,
be.
yeah, shout out B.
Shout out to B.
So they have this like this meeting, and like my dad can like hear it, but he can't. And B went out and like bought a medical journal that she like found from like the patient that she worked at a different hospital, and printed out the medical journal 4 times, like paid it with her own credit card, and like brought it to the doctors, the 4 main doctors. And they're like, okay, everyone separate, go in a room, read this medical journal, because they have no idea how to do it. And like what we're going to do
is surgery they've never done before.
Yeah. So they didn't know how to do it. So so they read through the entire medical journal, and they were like, okay, this is actually worth a shot. And what it was fun. This is kind of funny enough too. What it was is that they figured out that if they flipped me over during certain hours of the night, because it was like, I think it was like a 12-hour procedure or something like that. But if they flip me over, so it was like 4 hours on my back, and then 4 hours on my stomach, and then 4 hours on my back. they would let gravity do the work, and it would pull the blood out from my
The
lungs.
fluid out of your lungs, right?
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was okay. So I am not a medical professional, but I have had conversations with people.
You're on the right path. And that is now
And
known.
your dream, you remember it started with you on your back.
Yeah. And so to go back to that, the last dream I had, I woke up on a beach, never seen it before. I'm pretty sure it was like an island, and this is where everybody gets the chills. But
I've had so many chills. That's like, should I get my Kleenex? Because I put one next to me. Whatever, just hit me with it. Tell me everything.
So the last stream, like this is I'm pretty sure this is the day where they were like, yeah, he's gonna die for sure. The very last stream that I had was I woke up on my back on a beach, and there was nobody. Like, I looked to my right, I remember wiping the sand off my arms, my shoulders, and I looked to the right and I don't see anybody, and I look to the left and there's like some lady standing like 50 yards away underneath the only tree that's on the island, and she's standing underneath the shade. She's wearing a teal hat and a teal dress, and she's standing right where the water meets the sand. And so I get up and I'm like starting to walk towards her. And as I'm getting closer, I'm like, teal hat, teal dress. Like, I've seen this before. I just don't know where. But I know this person. And as I'm getting closer, I'm like, oh my God, like, this is my grandmother that died like 10 years ago. Like, literally, it was my grandma Jean. So I walk up to her, and at this point, like, I know like something's wrong. Like, you got that like gut feeling, like you're like, something's not right. Like, I know you passed away. So I grab her arm, I go, grab a Jean, and she turns to me and she's smiling, and she puts her hand on my right shoulder, and she's got one tear going down her eye. And she just looks at me and she goes, Mac, it's time for you to wake up. You got to go back.
Oh my God. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I believe that is, it's kind of like your friend throwing a boot in front of your head to make sure that boulder didn't come over you. I'm sorry, I get, whatever, I have feelings. But this, I want to make sure I heard you right. Is your grandma's name Jean?
Yep, Grandma Jean.
I had a Grandma Jane, but oh God. Okay, so it's time for you to wake up.
Yeah. So the surgery worked. Over the next
Wait, how did they do the surgery? Wait, I'm the one that's rerouting the conversation.
No, you're totally fine.
I need to know every detail. But so you're there. You cannot go via chartered jet to get your portable lung, and you need.
Oh, they were going to bring it to me. Yeah, and they were going to.
No one can fly in or out.
Yeah.
And you're a nurse B.
Yeah.
Has the journal.
Yep. Yeah.
And she said to 4 doctors who have never performed this procedure before. Am I getting this right?
Yeah.
She said, no, you're going to do this.
Yep. And like, full transparency, I had 12 chest tubes. So my body, like, I had more tubes in me than you could ever imagine. Like, right before the surgery, like, I needed an x-ray, and they were getting ready to put another patient in the x-ray, but they couldn't move me. And like, the nurses were like, screw this, we're going to bring the x-ray machine to him. So they brought the x-ray machine into my room and x-rayed me while I had all these tubes in. And what B also figured out was that she made like this piece of styrofoam where like my head would go, so that all the tubes, when they flipped me over, all the tubes would go through it, so they wouldn't like get messed up or anything like that. And she did this all on her own. And so it ends up saving my life. Like one day it went from like 1%, then like the next day I was at like 20% chance of living. And then like over the next day it was like, okay, now he's like 50. And then like this went on for like, I don't know, probably like a week. So like they knew like I was like probably going to make it at this point. But so when it came time to like bring me out of the coma, they told my family, they were like, hey, go, like, why don't you guys like go rest up? He's on so many drugs that it's going to take him hours to wake up. If not like maybe even like a day or two. Like go freshen up. Go ahead.
Wait, I'm sorry. Yes, because you've been at what point are we in the story now? Like, what's the timeline? Because are we now like a
Oh,
couple?
we're in the month of January. Like
Okay,
we're past
okay,
January.
so,
It's
okay,
a new
we're
year.
past January. Okay, so
Yeah, it's a new year.
you've been on these massive drugs
Yeah,
for now,
like over a month. Yeah.
and it just go freshen up, and he'll be like bright as a daisy. Is that?
No, well, I wasn't gonna be able to talk, but like I was gonna be able to like write stuff down and communicate with my eyes and everything like that. So they're like, go get some rest. Like he's gonna wake up. We just don't know when. And they're like, it's gonna be like 17 hours. Sorry, excuse me, like something like that. Well, I woke up in 4 hours. And they had no clue I was awake because nobody was expecting me to wake up. And I remember I
You're the
was
guy that popped your skis back on after, and then like you're the guy that just like keeps coming. They didn't catch on to you. They hadn't heard
yeah,
about you.
apparently not. Yeah,
I
no.
got 4 hours. Of course you did. Of course you did.
Yeah. But I mean, also, let me take this back too. So the other amazing thing about this was that there was like my aunt started a GoFundMe, but my dad like wanted it to like stop after a certain amount because he's like, we don't need the money. Like we don't want this to be a charity case or anything like that. They weren't really telling everybody like what was going on. Like they were keeping it like pretty close to home. Like my extended family knew, but like my friends like didn't really know like how bad it really was. Until like I started making like progress and like they actually like knew I was gonna live. That's when they started like telling people. So my aunt started this GoFundMe and my dad was like, cap it at like whatever, like after one day, like turn it off. And within one day, it like went up to like $127,000. And over 2,000 people donated, people that I've never met in my entire life, people from Canada, people from Mexico, like just heard this story and they were just like, oh my God, like, yeah, like let's do it. So that's another part, like that, like if I didn't have that kind of support system and that many people rooting for me, there's not a chance in hell I would be sitting here talking to you today. And that's a fact.
I
And
love that you mentioned that, because truly when everybody gets so down on who we are today and the choices that we are making as population, everyone has these like focusing on the things we're not doing very well. What I have seen with my own eyes in my own personal crisis is exactly what you're talking about. When boy, you should see how people will come. They will come from Canada. They will come out of the woodwork and they want to know that they did something today that made a difference in somebody's life. And taking a second right now to mention that, I think for everyone who's ever done that, for anyone who ever thinks to do that, it will never go unnoticed, and it's extremely important for both sides. I think people want to help each other, they just don't know how.
yeah,
But to know exactly who they're helping, and it creates this like synergy, this like really cool, it's more energy, it's physics, just like
yeah.
the things that like get you out of comas, you rare and incredible being. You supernatural
Uh,
being.
it's
Anyways, I needed to say that because I think that there's a lot in your story that's like the power of the forces of energy and those things that popped you up, that kept you around, that kept your parents alive. Because God, as a mother, but also a human, I can see both sides, yours and theirs. Well, no, not my, I can't see yours. I've not suffered. God, please don't let me. I'm too old now to
we're not
suffer.
here to compare stories. Don't worry about that.
But as a parent, holy cow, that had to have been just that takes years off your own life,
Yeah.
and I think they made a really smart choice in not broadcasting it to everyone detail for detail, because then they would be the one that would have to continue to do that. That was a form of protecting themselves, and I think that I
Yeah.
wrote that down like Lex next time. Let's not. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about the power of positivity and
A lot
just
to be said,
how
yeah.
impactful it is. Like, I mean, I look at everything that I've been through and, everything from what I understand that, we both been through a lot, and there's a lot of people that are probably going to listen to this that have also, they have their own stories, but, at the end of the day, like, it's not something that you go through alone. Like, it might seem like you are like in it alone at sometimes, but like, if you stare long enough into the abyss, like, you will see the light. But just don't get lost in the fact that it's dark right now. Like, there's going to be a tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
because Grandma Jean's gonna come around
yeah,
and say,
exactly.
wake
She's gonna
up.
kick my ass if I don't. Yeah.
Wake up, because you're at the abyss, you're at the crossroad of like the shore and the sand. The sand and what'd you say? The shore and the water. Whatever you said
Yeah.
was poetic. I don't want to mess it up. I already did.
No, it's okay.
But like Grandma Jean she's gonna slap you with a hard truth of just
Yeah.
like wake up. That
Absolutely.
is at the very core of the reason we have this podcast, and all of the incredible humans who share their stories is exactly what you just said. So that power of love, when you think you're alone, when you need to learn something about something maybe you're going through, but you don't want to have to go first into someone's office or those like scary appointments or something, hear it from somebody like us so that you know you're not alone.
Exactly.
And I yours though, like I have repeat, I'm getting them on my face, the goosebumps, and it's extremely uncomfortable. Okay, so so we left off at the GoFundMe, and thank you to all those people, and guys, don't stop. That even if it's just $1, it benefits both sides. But thank you for also remembering that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. But yeah, I think where we left off is where I woke up. And so this is actually kind of funny. So after Grandma Jean woke me up, I opened up my eyes and I'm looking around my room, and I try and move my right arm, which is completely paralyzed. And so I'm like, all right, in my head, I'm like, all right, that doesn't work. But I kicked my legs and I'm like, okay, my legs work. That's fine. But I can't talk because I got a tube coming out of my neck. And I got the remote in my left hand to like press a button for a nurse to like come rushing in. But I'm like, all right, hold on. Like, before I do that, like, let me try and figure this out.
Recalibrate. Yeah. Let's just do a diagnostic. Like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going
So
on
I'm
here?
like looking around my room, and there's like a Chicago Blackhawks flag. There's a Chicago flag that like all my cousins and my uncles and my aunts have signed, and there's like a ton of cards and everything. And I go, all right, I think I've been here for a while. All right, this is not good, but it's not bad. And the TV is on in my room, and it's the weatherman. And he's like, yeah, it's like whatever date, 2018. And I'm like, oh no. Last time I checked, it was December 28th, 2017. This is a whole new year.
You're
And
Encino Man. You're like
yeah,
oh my God. Yeah, that
yeah. So that was the first time I realized that it was something
time.
pretty
Time had
significant.
passed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I pressed the button, and this nurse comes like literally like flying in, and I'm like, whoa, like what? I thought she was like gonna tackle me. Like, I was like, what the hell? And she's like just screaming. She's like, Mac, like, you're alive, you're alive. And like, I can't talk, but in my brain, I'm like, yeah, I am, but I need you to lower your voice because I have a really bad headache.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Amazing. Well, you never lost your sense of humor, that's for sure.
oh, I'll get to that part too. So I'm still on a ventilator for a couple weeks after that, because it takes time for you to like heal from that and everything. And like, in order to get a ventilator, which, first of all, by the way, the medical procedure that B brought to all the doctors, that is now known as putting people in the prone position, which is the most common practice for COVID patients used today. So
Write that down, folks. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
Um,
that's why, like, lungs, when you kept saying that, I was like, why is he only laying on his back? We gotta flip him like a
yeah.
turkey.
And this was years before COVID. And I was like
Yeah.
one of the first people in the United States to have it done in, I don't know, like 30 something years or something like that. Which
Thank
is
you for your service.
no,
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 for sure.
no,
No,
no.
and B and everyone in this story. My God. Okay. Okay. I'll stop it.
Yeah.
I'll mute my.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So in order to get this breathing tube taken out, I have to breathe on my own. Like it's still in, but I have to breathe on my own for 12 hours straight. And if I don't do that, then like I have to start all over again. So they lay me completely flat, they turn off the machine, and I just have to sit and stare at the ceiling for 12 hours, not being able to talk, just focusing on breathing, like in through your nose, out through your mouth. And like talk about meditation, like it'll drive you nuts. And I think at one point, like I was counting like the dots that were on the ceiling, like in like the tiles. And so like I passed that test, and like because I was like, there's no way I'm going through this again. Like
Hell
this
yeah,
is
you did. And
yeah,
that's the power of the human spirit. Like
yeah,
that is like that's another power.
yeah. So
And I'm gonna inhale, exhale until for the next 12 hours, I'm gonna count dots and sheep. Yes.
yeah.
Go girl.
So I passed the test, and then it came time to actually like take the tube out. But there was one speech pathologist that worked at this hospital, because it's a relatively small hospital. And I mean, which is insane for it being the number one trauma facility in the United States. Um, there's one speech pathologist, and she only works like 2 days out of the week, and she needs to create this like piece that goes in my neck so I can like talk, so my vocal cords will work again. But the caveat to that is, if she puts in this piece and I can't breathe, then like we start the process all over again.
Again.
And so yeah, so my family's like in the room, like everyone, like you could feel the tension and everything. She puts the piece in, and like 30 seconds go by, and I start turning blue, and I can't talk and I can't breathe. So they're like, all right, like she's like, this is my last day. She's like, I won't be back in until next week, but she's like, I'll have a solution by next week. She realizes she goes home. Her husband's also a speech pathologist, and she just can't wrap her head around like why it didn't work the first time. So she comes back the next day on her day off, and she's like, I think we figured out a solution. Like I think me and my husband like figured it out last night. And so they put the piece in, and my family's standing around. My sister's there, my dad's there, my brother-in-law's there, and she puts the piece in. She goes, all right, say ah, and I go ah, and then the next words out of my mouth were, holy shit, I can talk. at that moment, you could feel just everybody in the room is like, not only is he like himself, but like he can like talk and everything, but like he's like
You got the humor. You said yes, those should holy shit for sure should be
yeah,
the first words
yeah.
out of y'all's mouth after that. But like, golly, this is like it takes my breath away, actually, because of all the people who I think. Do you think, actually, I'm not going to assume, but do you think it's possible, from my perspective, that the amount of effort you put in to it, like how many times you kept waking up and like not dying, first of all, not dying, definitely not today, right?
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. Do you think that was part of why? Listen to the other characters in the story, like they go home and on their day off they do this, or the B, who brings the journal and says, no, we are doing this, period, and we are not going to give up. It's almost like it's like what you put in, they put in, you put in, they put in.
Yeah.
And that just is like what's
I mean,
giving me chills constantly.
to me, and
Wow.
I've said this since day one, and I truly believe this like down to my core. I had nothing to do with it. None of it was me. It was everybody else. I didn't have all I did was took a nap.
I disagree, but okay.
To everyone, yeah, to everyone, I
Whatever you
mean,
need to do.
I know it sounds cliche as hell, but like after, going through what I went through and like finding out after the fact, like my sister set up an email address for me, like to people that could like write letters to me, like while I was in my coma, and I had like a couple hundred letters to read. And after reading all those, like it was like, okay, like, dude, this wasn't you. Like this had nothing to do with you. This was people coming together and like fighting for you, like for no reason. Like like people didn't need like that doctor didn't need to come in on her day off and like, all that stuff. But my family got to know the whole medical team. They're there. My dad was bringing him coffee every morning. Like they knew him by his first name. And it was just the power of people being good and like realizing that there are still good people out in the world that like care enough to like, actually help somebody that they don't even know. And I think that's, what's most important about the story. And, the
And you
other,
didn't quit. Also, you stared at the ceiling, breathing. You didn't, I don't know.
but at that point, I knew I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for everybody else. Shit, I could have
But
gave
you
up.
like flatlined. How many times have you flatlined? 5?
Yeah, roughly.
How many people in the world have done that? Is there like a
I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Should we Google it? Like I'm gonna Google it when you're like, I'm gonna Google it later, but like that's not there's a fighter in you too. And I know it's hard to hear these things and it's hard to accept like that kind of love. It's me too.
Yeah.
People love you that much and they give so much and people you'll never meet, unfortunately, likely will give.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's so humbling and it's so hard to accept. I don't know why. I'm not a psychologist either, but maybe one could comment.
Yeah. I don't
There's
know.
something to that is just, it brings you to your knees. And I get that. But the fighter in you, to me, like hell, if I heard your story, I'd be over there too. I'd be feeding everyone. I would be, just because you could have quit. You were in a coma and something in you kept breathing.
Yeah. And there's another quote. Well, there's two quotes that I kind of live by too. It's like the first one is like it's not about the storm. It's you're gonna go through the storm, but you're not gonna come out as the same person, because it's not about when the storm's over. It's about what happens during the storm, and it's all about how you react. And in life, and that translates to life. Like like yeah, there's gonna be things out of your control, that like stuff where like being in a coma, like you don't expect that to happen, but like the way that I reacted, I had every chance to react to it, and I chose positivity every single time. So like even after like when I could talk, like when the doctors like came in and I was like, all right, like tell me about my arm. And he's like, the only reason you still have your arm is because you have blood flow to it, and like the nerves are going to grow back, but they grow back an inch a month, and it's probably going to take like a long time, and like you're probably never going to be able to move it again. I go, well, what are the chances? And he goes, 5%.
5%. Yeah, I wrote it down. 1% chance of life. Crushed that by like blew that right out of the water. Now we're at 5% on the arm.
Yeah.
Do it. Give me the shock and awe.
75%.
No.
75% of it. Yeah. So
We do that again. Does it hurt?
no, not at all.
It's over and above your head.
Yeah. Thank God I'm left-handed.
Goodness, you are. What are you? You're like,
just a normal guy. I'm just a normal guy. That's
oh no.
normal guy that smiles a lot and
That's what I do too. Yeah, I do that too.
Here. Yeah.
And enjoys being here. Wait, say that again a little louder for the people in the back. I'm just a
normal guy that enjoys smiling and loves being here. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day. And then the second quote, sorry not to interrupt this, but I think Confucius said this, but it's everyone has two lives, and the second one starts when you realize you only have one. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I got a whole new lease on this. Like, this is, no matter how bad things get in my life, like something terrible could happen tomorrow. But I know for a fact, like, I know the guy that I am, and I know that I'm going to be the person in the corner figuring it out while people are, going through the worst time of their lives. Like, people are going to be able to rely on me. Like, I'm going to be the rock. Like, I want to be the person that's got it together. Like, I'll break down another time. Like, I'll have my own moment, but like, until that happens, like, I got to make sure everybody else is good. And so, like, that's just the way that I've looked at it ever since. And that, I think that's just something that's going to stick with me forever. Like, bad times come and go, but you got to outweigh the good with the bad, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just keep moving.
With a hell of a lot of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. Laughing and making jokes about it definitely helps. I always, whenever I see people, my one friend in particular, the people that donated to the GoFundMe, I always joke about it. I go, hey, you want a refund?
Wait, don't make me laugh like that. That makes me feel bad. But like, God, yes, everything you just said. And no, I didn't have the same experience. We already went over this, but I've definitely been in moments where I'm like, I just walked through hell. Like, literally walked through hell. And so I do have a new lease on this. And one of the things, just like what you said, that probably the biggest thing that has helped me when it hurts sometimes, like, that one song where it's like, I have scars and they occasionally bleed, like, I sometimes feel like sometimes it's just like your heart hurts, like it hurts.
Yeah.
Is helping someone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just realizing that, like, you're not your past. Like, sure, like things happen to you, but that's not you. Like, sure, that could have happened to you yesterday, but that's not you today. You have every opportunity to make yourself a better person today. Just be better than you were yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And it's easier said than done, but like, if you keep that mentality and like you keep that sort of discipline, like, you're gonna be just fine. It's gonna suck, but you're gonna walk out of it, and it's gonna be okay.
You just inhale, exhale. That's where you start, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where you start, and you just keep focusing on that till you feel like you can add another step in, and then you add another step in, and maybe today you just did the inhale, exhale. I don't know, but I think that was important to hear too. Tell me how your arm goes from like, what is it, like a 5% chance of ever using it, and then now you're like twirling it around your head like a ballerina. What was that?
Yeah.
You blow my mind. Like, what?
That was through a lot of physical therapy, and just a lot of, like, I mean, when the doctor said 5%, I go, I'll take that chance. Hell yeah, I'll beat that chance.
I had one of living, and here I am. So
Well, then they asked me, like, my back was broken in 3 spots too, and like, after I could talk again, the first thing they asked me, they go, what do you want to do? And I go, I want to walk. They're like, you can't. And I go, bullshit, I can't. And I think I made it like 3 steps before, like, I had like to get like back on oxygen. But
then
yeah.
that's what you do. But that's how you do it. It's like, not the same, because my back wasn't broken in 3 places, but I had, a hell of a lot of C-sections where they just, they basically just cut you wide open, take all your organs out casually, and then tell you to get up and walk away. You just try.
Yeah, exactly. And
You
just
try, and maybe it's 1 step, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3. And then you just, tomorrow, maybe we do 4. And everybody feels like being okay looks like this right now. Well, not everybody, but I feel like the ones that I hear from most, that you have to go back. But remember what you just said, you're not the same.
Yeah.
You're actually a hell of a lot stronger.
Absolutely.
And maybe you have to relearn, how does this new badass walk? And
exactly.
Maybe it's 3 steps today and 4 tomorrow and whatever. But are you like, what is your current state of being? Because you're presenting as like a Marvel hero. You're presenting as like not totally human.
Well, I am totally human. I'll tell you that. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life. But I just keep that same mentality. It's every day the sun is gonna rise and I'm gonna be there to see it. And no one's gonna tell me like I can't do something unless and the only person that like really can tell me I can't do something is myself. And like once you callous like your brain to like think like when your body like gives up on you like that, but your brain doesn't, and you can break through that, like your brain is like, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. And your body listens and it's going to be like, all right, well, he's not going to give up. So we got to keep going. And like, that's how you get through every single day. Like, no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, no matter how bad it is, activate go mode is something they do. They say in marathons, like that last mile or like, when you have 4 kids and they've been like up all night and all day and you're like, it's only 3 p.m., like activate go mode. Mentally, I want to sleep so bad. I could cry for a lot of different reasons and there's a lot of work to do here, but like, no, they are not the same, but it's the same emotion. It comes from the same place of just like, no.
Yeah.
We're going.
To be honest, like David Goggins, he's like an ex-Navy SEAL. He was, I saw a podcast that he did, and he was the one that said that. Because I'm not trying to plagiarize anything, but no, it was just something that stuck with me, and I was like, he's right. Like, if you just stick to it, like every single day, and like you just get one more step closer to your goal, like you're gonna get to it. It might take a year, it might take months, weeks. I know I'm going backwards here, but you're gonna get to it. Just believe in yourself and like let the people around you help. And like I know that's easier said than done because like there's certainly there's a lot of times where, especially like because after everything happened, I had to get I was on like every painkiller known to man.
That's what I was just gonna ask you. I was like, I need to know how because I've interviewed people who are either caregivers or physicians to those who have severe dependencies on exactly the medications that you were on. I'm like definitely afraid of them now. And also like I have eyes, I can see what's going on. And it's heartbreaking. And there's not a lot that's helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
So how did that go?
Yeah. So this actually goes back to my boss. So I finally got moved when I was like finally done out of the ICU. They're like, all right, we're going to take it back to San Francisco because actually, I think she was like the director of Sutter Hospital in San Francisco. Well, actually grew up with my uncle and they dated and they haven't spoken since. It's been like over like 30 years or something since they talked, but she saw my story on Facebook and she reached out to my uncle and was like, hey, we got a bed for him. Like, we'll teach him how to walk again and everything. You just got to get him to San Francisco. So they transport me to San Francisco and I'm in the hospital. I relearn how to walk.
Transport by way of, I'm into transportation right now. So I'm like in a major transportation. How did they get you there?
Oh boy. So they were like going to charter a flight for me, but my lungs were deflated. So that wasn't an option. So the next best option was to fill me with morphine and basically knock me out and put me in the back of a private ambulance and drive me to San Francisco, which I think it's like, I want to say it's like a 4 to 6 hour, 4 to 6
hours. Yeah. Look at my chills. You want to know why? Because this is what we're solving for now here at LittleWins is this kind of transport.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, let's fill it with morphine. No.
Well, the worst part was as soon as we got over, I think it was the Bay Bridge is what you have to cross. Yeah, it was the Bay Bridge. The morphine wore off. Yeah. So I was awake and we started going through the hills of San Francisco and all my ribs are still broken at this point. So I could feel my ribs like going up and down and that was like incredibly painful.
Not just the going up and down in that moment, but your body has that memory of what happened. Maybe something masks a pain. but your body felt that, like your
Yeah.
muscle memory, the nerves, like it felt that. And so, yeah,
Oh, I think I was like screaming at the time. Like,
without
yeah,
it.
I was like, you guys got to get me out of this ambulance right now. But no, and then I spent like 3 months in this hospital, like relearning how to walk, like making sure like I was cognitively there, which thank God I was. And, doing physical therapy on my arm every day. And, then I got time to where it was like, okay, like he can go home. But, I was prescribed Oxycontin, Xanax, Oxycontin, Xanax, methadone to even it out, Percocets, and what's the other one? The other really bad one.
No, I feel like you almost said it. It's like with a D, right? For nerves. Dox.
That was gabapentin. Gabapentin was
Yeah,
another one. That's
that
for
one's
nerve pain.
awful. They give it to you when you have a C-section. I took it one day and I couldn't feel my hands, and I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I'm all set.
gabapentin for nerve
I was
pain.
like, I'm all set. Yeah. No,
So
I'd like to feel my hands. Thank you so much.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so then it came time for like me to get out of the hospital, but I didn't have any family that lived in San Francisco, and I wasn't well enough to like travel back to Chicago. So my boss actually let me stay in his house, and they had a nurse from Stanford come in and check on me, and I was doing like rehab like in the house and stuff like that. But what was happening in California, like the reason there's so many drug addicts is because they don't give you a plan to get off all these painkillers. They just handed my boss a booklet and like prescriptions, and that like he doesn't know, like he had no idea. And he was just like, all right, here you go. So I was laying in bed, like just popping pills like left and right, and I wasn't getting any better. And it got to the point where my boss called up my dad and was like, hey, you need to come out here and you need to talk to him because like he's losing weight, like he looks frail, like he looks like an addict. And I mean, I didn't know, like I had no idea what was going on. So my dad comes out like unannounced to me, like walks in the room, sees me, and he goes, Mac, he's like, you have to get off all these painkillers because like they're gonna kill you. Like this will kill you if you don't stop.
Wait,
And
sorry to pause. Please
no,
put a
you're
pin
fine.
in that, but I'm just trying to follow because I don't want, I know this is so imperative that so many people, because my first dev team was in San Diego. That's when I fell in love with San Diego, but I can't tell you how disturbing it was. And that was in 2019.
Yeah, it's even worse
Being
now.
in San Diego and seeing how many people have been affected by just exactly this. And if we're going to talk about it, which we're going to talk about anything they want to talk about, but if we're going to, God, we got to make it helpful. So here are the ones that and I interrupted you, so it's my bad. So you were on Oxy. I'm gonna figure this out. And what else?
Oxys, Percocets, methadone to even it out, Xanax, gabapentin. Um, shoot, I can't. There's like another one that's like really, really bad for you. I
I
can't
know.
think of
I
it.
can't. I know that's why I had to go back because I
If you
definitely.
just Google like the top like
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it
drug
right now.
prescriptions,
So
like yeah, it'll
so
come up.
while you answer this next question, I will Google it. But did at any point, because in my heart, I'm like, okay, this guy's died 5 times and come back to life, and he's like still here. And obviously, because of your injuries, medicine has its place, folks.
Yeah,
Um, without a doubt. There's a disconnect, just like you said, that I mean, and I don't really know for sure, but it sounds like on the stories on repeat that I get to hear and people I meet where here are drugs and then there's no follow through. There's no like action plan. Like, here's how long you take this. This is how you wean off of it. If you stop feeling this pain, maybe today, if you're up for it, don't take the painkiller and just see how much pain you're in,
yeah,
because knowing you have a painkiller, there's not a lot. I'm not going to say no, but it doesn't seem to be as readily available as medication.
yeah.
Uh, that kind of plan. And so whatever you're about to say is, I think, really important for everyone to hear. But did anyone tell you after all of that you've been through, like, hey, so next steps are for the next 3 months, here's how we get off of all this trash?
Yeah, kinda, in a way.
Okay.
So this gets a little crazy. So my dad comes out to California and it's like, you got to get off all these painkillers. And I looked at him and I saw how serious he was, and I said, okay, flush them all down the toilet. I'll do a cold turkey. I don't care. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'll do a cold turkey. So
Wait, on all of those? And
yeah,
you lived again?
I quit him. Yeah, I quit him all cold turkey.
No,
Like,
I love a cold turkey, but like after all of that, like I don't know if this
oh,
works.
I'll get to that.
Okay,
So no, you're fine. You're fine. So the first 2 weeks, I lost 45 pounds. I couldn't take, like, they would give me like a spoonful of water and I would throw it up. Like, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I like lost 45 pounds. I like was in pain, but they would take me to Stanford Hospital because that was the closest hospital just to get fluids. And one time, Stanford didn't look at my sheet and they thought I was a drug addict. So they actually put me in the psych ward and they gave me this drug called Helidol, which is an antipsychotic. And I wasn't psychotic, and I lost like all like control of my legs, like my feet were on fire. Like, we almost ended up suing Stanford because like they didn't read my sheet.
Read the sheet, folks.
Yeah, yeah.
And guys, I know they're busy, and everybody in the medical field knows that I love them. I love them for any contribution, if it even matters to them.
Oh, I don't blame them for it.
Medical, but I do, because a lot of really bad things can happen from just not reading the sheet. Like step one, if there's only one thing you're able to do in 30 seconds, you scan that for sure, because that could kill somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I
For all
throughout
the
the
wrong
entire
reasons.
thing, like, I was screaming in pain, and like they didn't know what was going on until like they like came back in and they're like, oh yeah, we messed up. And I was like, oh, you messed up like that.
Oh, an oopsie daisy. Oh, an oopsie daisy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard of
Yeah.
those. That's
So
not an oopsie daisy. Let's everybody who's out there, just read the sheet.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I know that you're like pressed for time. I know that. I know that because of insurance, all the things we've talked about, they're on a tick, tick, tick. And that's one thing. But when you're dealing with human lives, I think the one thing, if you have any moment at all, the one thing I would do, read that, because God, your sheet must read like you're God. Like he's died so many times. He was put together, and now he's like, cold turkeying off of all of his pain medication, and you just gave him a whole bunch of antipsychotics. So fail. That's not it, folks.
Yeah.
Look at all the things you lived through. No to that. We can't have that. No.
So that was 2 weeks into the withdrawal program, like with my withdrawal program. And so after that happened, I got one more round of fluids. And usually after I got the fluids, I would have like a 6-hour window to where I could like actually like take a sip of something and like be semi okay. And so we used that window to fly me back to Chicago, me and my dad. And I flew from SFO straight to O'Hare, and we drove straight to the hospital so I could get fluids. Cause like, I mean, that's a 4-hour flight.
I'm like, that's 4 hours. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. It
yeah.
could be 4.5, actually, depending on the, I think it's longer on the way back, isn't it?
Yeah, because of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
headwinds
that's
and
right.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I get to this hospital in Illinois, and the whole drug thing varies from state to state. Every state has different rules and everything. California is one of them that has the worst laws on it.
I'm looking at it. It doesn't read well. It's
No,
it's
it's
not
not.
pretty on
Yeah.
paper. No, we're not showing. No, this is
So I get back to Illinois and I'm rushed into the hospital to get fluids, and like I'm eating saltine crackers and stuff. And the doctor comes in and she read the sheet. She looks at it, she's flipping through it, and my aunt's sitting there, my dad's sitting there, and she goes, "You're John McGinnis," which that's my real name, by the way. And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "You were on all these drugs?" And I was like, "Yep." And she's like, "How long have you been off of them?" And I was like, 2 weeks. And she goes, "There is no medical explanation or reason as to why you are alive."
This is what I'm saying. That's why when I was like, oh, you're gonna flush them down the toilet, like,
Yeah.
what, your full name is John McGinnis?
John Mac McGinnis.
No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you by the name that, and we'll go back to why you're called that. But like John,
Yeah.
because this feels biblical. You were given 1% chance to live.
Yeah.
5% to using your arms, and now you're twirling it around like a ballerina. And then you flatline 5 times. You pour all your drugs down the toilet that they gave you with no action plan afterwards. And know that from my limited medical background, but just from a common sense background, that sounds like how.
Yeah. Yeah. So she gave me 2 options. She was like, you can come back. Like, she's like, the normal withdrawal period is 3 weeks. She's like, you're already 2 weeks in. So she's like, we can give you Suboxone, which is like what they give like meth addicts or like heroin addicts, which it blocks the pain receptors in your brain. So like you really can't take like painkillers ever again. But she's like, but then you'll be starting the process all over again. And then she's like, or you have step 2, you keep coming in, getting fluids, and you just fight through it. And like you go 1 more week. And I was like, I'm going 1 more week. I'm like, screw this. Well, I also
exhale, stare at the ceiling, baby.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I've got this unlocked.
Well, the other thing is I had like probably 13 or 14 more surgeries to go through. To like fix like my wrist and everything like that. And like, but this time, like, I knew the problem with painkillers. But so Suboxone, like, that wasn't an option. Like, I was like, there's no way in hell, because like I know I'm gonna have to go through more pain. So I went home, I went back to my dad's. I like pretty much locked myself in a room. I had like a bucket and like a bottle of water. And like, you're not yourself. When you're withdrawing through those drugs, you are not yourself. Like, I was depressed. I was suicidal. Like, as bad as it sounds, throughout all that, like, that was the time where like I wanted to give up the most. Like, I wanted to quit then and there. And then just like she said, just like one day I was like sitting on the couch, and I turned and I look at my dad, and I'm like, "Hey, can you go get me some mac and cheese? Cause like I'm kind of hungry." And my dad's like, "You're hungry?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." And then like from then on, it was like all good. Like I was like, I didn't have any problems after that.
You fought it all the way through, and you got to the other side. It's just like when they said you turned blue and it didn't work, and then all of a sudden you were like, holy shit, those are your first words. Like,
yeah, I wasn't going through it again.
You move me on like a cellular level. I'm trying so hard not to cry, but the fight in you, kid, shit, the fight in you, your spirit, and honestly, I'm gonna have to capture and study you now. Like, there are things. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just gonna, yeah, it'll only hurt for a second, because clearly you don't feel pain. But wow. No, we have to, we're going back to the surgeries, but I know you've told this story so many times that, and please continue to tell this story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone who will listen, I'm speechless, actually, which, yeah, I'm completely speechless. You blow my mind, but you move me, and you're going to move so many other people, because you have this ability to be so aware, also, like, within your body mentally, and that's, I think, really unique, right? You're going through these painful moments, but you know that you snapped your skis back on and like, hello.
Yeah.
Most people are in a state of shock where I mean, I would venture to say they wouldn't remember something like that.
Yeah.
And you remember that, and you remember sitting through those really dark moments, and yeah, they happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yeah, guys, everybody gets them. Sometimes you
Oh,
just sit with like,
everybody. Yeah.
sometimes you
Well,
just
I mean,
sit with
it's,
that.
it's funny because like I mean, it's not that funny, but like every time I tell this story to somebody, or like, I mean, certain people, like random people, they'll like, I'll tell them like a short version of this, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like in fifth grade, I broke my arm when I was skateboarding," and I was like, "Oh man, that must have sucked." Like, yeah, shit, that's
Shit,
probably
man.
terrible.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I end up laughing
It's a
because like they don't know
not the same, not
thing.
the same. And they don't know. And you can't be mad because, like, yeah,
No,
I have that relatable experience too, because maybe that's their barometer for pain, but like, what if the barometer for pain looks like this? So yours just kept growing. But if they only know this much, it still feels like all the way
yeah,
up to where yours was. That's,
yeah.
but yeah, so like whatever. But it doesn't mean you have to continue the conversation, in my humble opinion. That means like, no,
No,
don't
I mean,
anymore. But
I'm like okay, I'm okay with that part actually because like it just shows that like I could be talking to some random person like there's been times where I've told this story like to a random person and like they've told me something that was like absolutely horrible that they probably never told anybody else. And like I'm not going to go out and like broadcast that to anybody. Like I have no reason to. So like I know what it's like to lose your life and like lose the sense of like reality and like be in this dark place, but like at the same time like you're sitting here, you're talking to me and everything's fine, and it's gonna continue to be fine if you just keep just moving. And like like that's the whole point of this thing is like the whole the whole reason I think like I'm still here is like because you go through that point where you're like, all right, well, I went through all this trauma and all this, what was the point? Like, am I supposed to be like a millionaire or like something like that? Or no, the whole point is like I'm supposed to give back, and like you're giving back and you're helping a lot of people, and I want to help a lot of people, and I think that's like what gets me up in the morning every single day.
it's
Like just sharing a smile can like change someone's day completely. And
holding
it
the door one
holds
time.
it over. Yeah.
It's a chain reaction. Wait, hold on. Did I read something that Sean wrote for me here about keep moving the chains, which I think is what you're saying to me right now?
Yeah, that was the name of the podcast that I did last month. That was released last week. So
Oh,
yeah.
the one that I saw 5 seconds of and then was like,
Yeah.
it's a story I want to hear. Pause it. Well,
Yeah.
keep moving the chains. What you're saying sounds exactly like that, you know? You
Yeah.
just,
That's
you just, you got your chains, okay? Maybe we have scars. They occasionally bleed, whatever. You just keep going.
yeah.
And
You're not bound by anything. And if you keep moving forward, you're gonna break them and you're gonna keep on going.
just keep going.
Yeah.
You are
So,
a beautiful person.
thank you.
My
I'm
God.
I promise like I'm just a normal
I'm a
human.
meta human. I promise I'm just a meta human. I was only by, yeah, it's okay. We know. I
Yeah.
can see. Okay, just to answer one question. Actually, I want to hear about surgeries if you're open to talking about it. If you want to
Sure.
like, I know that I'm running over your time.
No,
But
no, you're fine.
so the other one is I think is it hydrocodone?
Hydrocodone. That was the other one.
That's
Yeah.
the other one because
Yeah.
that's like Vicodin and Norco. That's what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
because I had to look into the components because yikes, that's okay. So yeah, you got all the big ones.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
literally
And
like
like heavy doses. Like I think at like one point, like I was taking like 22 pills a day or something, like something like that. Yeah. So it was yeah, it was really bad. It was like that was honestly out of all of it, like that was the most challenging part for sure.
that sounds like the most like could you remember anything from those like those days and those moments or what's
There's a lot of movies I saw that I don't remember. just
Wow.
because of the way that like you're just numb to everything. Like you can't compose the thought. Like you can't like I said, you're just not yourself. You're not yourself. And looking back on that, that's like what I hated the most. Like because like at that point, like I wasn't smiling, I wasn't making jokes. I was like,
It's terrifying.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna hit you with a I broke my arm in 5th grade story. Like quote unquote. I was in a car accident, big one actually, in my senior year. I was T-boned in a left turn, and they put me on Vicodin. I don't really remember what happened. I was going 5 miles an hour, on the green arrow, and then I
yeah,
was like wham by someone who went to run the red. And all I remember about Vicodin is, one, I was terrified. It was like, it was such a weird experience, but they gave me this pain medication. That's all I knew. Take one when you get home. Okay. Takes one.
yep,
I remember being like, am I drooling? I swear on my soul, I was watching TV and I felt like watching, but that's when I was like, I have never taken Vicodin since.
yeah, yeah,
Because no thanks.
yeah,
You know what? But and this isn't like we're not comparing, but I am I personally need to know what level of pain I'm feeling
yeah.
so that
Well,
I
that's
know
what
where
you're
to go
alive.
with it. Like I need to know that I need to know where to go with it, where it hurts the most. Like I don't want you to just don't numb it all. God.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was drooling all over myself and I was 17 and I was like, yeah, that was not for me. So,
yeah, yeah.
um
I've been there.
but
Yeah,
this is such an important conversation because guys, everybody, no, not everybody's been through things like our friend Mac here, our metahuman, but we all can relate to having things happen. And then you're prescribed these things and yeah, it hurts and you want to get better, or you need to go back to work. You have like things to do. I think it's an important discussion that we need to maybe have a follow-up on and expand on, because I don't really know who else is talking about it, but I know that there's a lot out there.
yeah, yeah. Now, especially with like all the fentanyl and stuff like that getting mixed in with like party drugs and stuff like that. Like, uh, I was,
Whoever's doing that, I will find you. You're on my naughty list. I'm telling you, like, okay, whatever. No, like, hugs, not drugs, but whoever's doing that, when I saw that article, there's a special place in hell for you.
yeah, yeah. When you know you're giving that to somebody, yeah, that's not, that's not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll find you. I'll find you.
I'll find you too, and I'll beat you down with one arm. I don't care.
Trying to figure it out. No, I saw your arm. Don't even try to play games. Do you think we should do another? Because the other topics I wanted to ask you about
Yeah,
are big, like
sure.
your physical recovery. And we have so many listeners who, because I lead by example, we have physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. We have all the therapies. I love therapy. I'm like, therapy it up. Is there a new therapy? I want that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take it all. We all have it here in my house because I have aches and pains and growth spurts and whatever. But the more information people have on this kind of rehab, should we do something that's like a rehab
Yeah, we totally can.
where you talk about how you get off of like pretty much all the drugs that can kill you and you just like
Well,
cold.
don't do it the way I did it. Like that was
Yeah,
not
that's a
recommended
thumbs
by
down.
anybody.
Thumbs down. But we
I
already
did that the wrong way. Yeah, that was the
know
wrong
what
thing to
you
do.
any way that you get through it is the right way, but that's not like I mean, you're also the only human I've ever known who's done, I don't know, 11 things on this list of things that no, I wouldn't follow your lead. I don't know if I could handle that, but I am so proud of you. And I want to do that. I want to do, yeah. Can we do that? Would you be
Yeah,
open to it?
absolutely.
Let's talk about
100%.
like stretches and the different places, what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
And for the different parts of your body, let's focus on the surgeries.
Sure.
And the rehab after that.
Yeah, absolutely. We can absolutely do that because that's a tale in itself. That's
It's a
people.
whole nother story.
Yeah. But again, that all still goes back to not only pushing yourself, but having people push for you and
Mhm.
like actually like opening up and like being open to the idea of like letting someone helping you. Cause like like not to like sound conceited, but like I'm a pretty strong headed guy. Like I like doing things like my way. Like I'm not necessarily like hey, like if someone gives me an idea, I'm like, no, that's stupid. I'm not gonna do that. But like I like
Mac, you flatlined 5 times. Okay. Like, a little bit strong will. Yeah, we got it. Like for sure.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
wow,
So
not
but
today. Yeah.
no, but you gotta be open to
Have to be
allowing people to like push
vulnerable.
you. Yeah. And like my buddy Steve does like a great job of that right now. Like I like just started like seriously working out again. And he's one of my best friends too. He lives in Austin, Texas. And he's not even a physical therapist. He's just a personal trainer. And he's gotten my arm to move like 25% like in the past like 2 months that I've been working with him. And I was afraid to like get back into the gym because like I was afraid of failing. And even that mental hurdle was like some that he was texting me every single day. He's like, just come in, dude. Come in. Like, just get in here. Like, we'll do like 5-10 steps, like two exercises. Like, it doesn't matter. Just do it. And like, yeah, it's made me a better person. Like I've come out healthier and yeah, it's
You and I talked about this. Failing is only when you don't show up.
yeah. Plus also never have a plan B. Always
Yeah.
always plan A.
I mean, I like to have a plan B, but
No.
I like to like not use it. I just have to. There's too many moving pieces. But yes, amen. Like
In the grand scheme of things, don't have a plan
friends,
B.
just keep going. Just and don't try to shoot too high.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. Who am I to give advice? I just feel like in the spirit of conversation, what I try to do with all of my kids and all the moving pieces is like I'm gonna get up every single day. I'm gonna try
Yeah.
all day.
Yep.
One foot in front of another. I'm going to pack those lunches. I'm going to get on that. I'm going to do the best I can with all those emails. And I'm going to do all the, like, all the things I need to do to the best of my ability. And then I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And that's like,
You're gonna do it better because you already learned.
because we just go
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Don't forget to stretch. Do you soak? For some reason, I want to tell you about your arm. Like, can you do like an Epsom salt? Like I want to push your arm. I want to massage this. What is it? Pectoral, what
Well,
top?
it's
Can you rub it out a little and shake it? I want you to rub it and shake it. We'll talk
so
about
like I could like lift my arm up. It's like here, but like I can't hold it there because like there's one muscle in my shoulder. It's the only muscle that doesn't work, and
Wait,
that's
this is why I'm telling you this because it's
yeah.
smaller. So do you see this? The bigger muscle, it's on the opposite side. See what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. So
Can you
that's
can you give her a hug? Can you give her like one of these like little hugs, like a little massage hug, and just loosen it up a little with maybe an Epsom salt bath, but again, not a
like
doctor.
a Theragun. Theraguns help a lot.
Oh,
Theragun, Theraguns are-
or blast
yeah.
it with a Theragun. You got it.
I mean that hurts a lot, but like if as soon as you get that knot out, you feel so much better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you should start small, but you're the guy that's cold turkey, so I get it. I get it. I want to I think we should do that. I'm writing down notes of let's do a part 2 whenever you're free.
Yeah.
Because this portion of the story actually deserves its whole like yeah. I mean more than deserves. I don't know. Words are hard. When you're completely beside yourself. This is a really fascinating. I'm going to think about it for days to come because I really like to split things into little details and try to figure out what happened there and how and why and love it even more,
Absolutely.
But the characters and the story, like your dreams, and everything about it is so captivating.
And I remember it like so well, like I could write it down. Like
Oh, wait,
yeah.
write it down. Yeah.
Because I'm not a good writer.
Well,
Maybe
I
I'll
know
ask Sean to
that
do that
I
for
know
me.
that Sean. No, Sean. I need Sean so much right now. Sean is just really too busy, or or probably run away. But maybe we could get a ghostwriter. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a
yeah.
ghostwriter listening that wants to write this story, and they can reach out.
Oh, that was the other thing. So whoever does listen to this, do you mind if I like share like my contact information?
I was gonna share it for you.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
perfect.
please,
Okay.
no, go, no, hit it.
Well, I'll just like say it and then like you can post it, but like whoever's listening to this, if you ever want to have a conversation or shoot me an email, like you're more than welcome to do so. I'm open to talking to anybody and everybody. If it helps, I really don't care. My name on LinkedIn is Mac McGinnis. It's MacMcGinnis. And then my email address is J McGinnis, so the letter J as in John, MCGINNIS, and then the number 84 at gmail.com. And I'm gonna leave my phone number out of it just because
I was like, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm
yeah.
gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
J. Mac McGinnis, you blow my mind, and my heart goes, and I may have to capture and study you. I don't know. We may, just wow. What a beautiful beacon of light and hope and inspiration,
Thank you.
intelligence, and the triumph of human spirit. I'm so glad I didn't listen to all of your story when I was listening to what was it, the other podcast?
Moving the chains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but which I think everyone should listen to as well, because I'm certain it's probably a little different variation of just
Yeah,
like,
that one's only like 27 minutes long.
well, they probably didn't have someone that was interrupting you constantly with this, like, I need to know every little detail. You are astonishing.
Thank you. I mean, so are you, and so is everybody else. Like, I mean, look at everything that you've done too. Like, seriously. I know we just met, but I could already tell you're a phenomenal person. You're a very proud person, and you're changing people's lives for the better. And that's something I want to do too. So I
Oh, well,
really
I need
appreciate it.
help. Come on over. I am a public servant, and I am very proud to say that every day I wear it like a badge. I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
And it's a gift to be able to do so, that it's not lost on me every single day. But you do not ever lump me into a sentence with you in it again, okay? Because like, this girl has never died on a table and come back to life, okay? Not even one time. So thank you for sharing this story. Let's just do a really brief recap. I think, kids, wear your helmets. If there's chains, don't go over them. Yeah. But what else? Just, we could do mini lung exercises just in quesadilla. What are you thinking?
Uh, no, I mean, like whatever you want to explore, like next, like yeah, like what's I mean, we could go through all the other surgeries I had to go through, like the
Oh,
mentality of
that's
that.
it. That's the
Yeah,
next one we're doing. Surgery plus rehab. So folks, because how many surgeries were there?
I think in total like 13, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll have to double check that, but yeah.
We will break that down, and all the rehab that went into it, and how you got to be not only alive, but fully, like, if look at you. Show me your scar. Let me see.
One right there.
Yeah, you're a metahuman. Look at you.
Yeah. Well, I got one that goes all the way down past my
I
stomach.
have no doubt.
I don't
You
want
were
to show.
here, I would give you the long, uncomfortable hug. Like, the one where you're just like, hell yeah, buddy. Hell yeah.
I live for those hugs. Those are the hugs I look forward to.
It's like, yeah, when you're like, let go.
Yeah.
And I am so honored to meet you, and so
Feeling
grateful.
very mutual. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, part two. Let me know when you're
Absolutely.
free.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, if anyone ever wants to to have a chat, I'm more than open to it. So
You rule. Thank you,
All right.
Matt.
Yep. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.